with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go. On this Monday, it is the 7th day of October, 2024. 6 o'clock straight up, which means it is time for Real Talk Memphis. Glad to have you along for the ride. If you choose to do so for the next 60 minutes, I think we will have a pretty good show for you before it's all said and done. I am your humble host. My name is Chip Washington. Great to be here after another week. Glad to get down here safely with so much stuff going on out here in the streets and the highways and byways. And I wish the same for you. Hope that you've had a good week since we last got together. Tonight, of course, we have three great guests for you. We will lay all of that out for you in just a couple of minutes. Kind of let you know exactly what you can expect on this edition. Now, if you want to get this fine piece of radio broadcasting, there are a few ways you can do it. Right now, we're on 91.7 WYXR, live and local. You can always catch us on the WYXR app as well. We are on the TuneIn app, and we are also on live streaming tonight on Facebook Live. So you can, if you'd like to go over to the page and check it out, you are more than welcome to do so. Next couple of days when the show posts, you can find us on YouTube, and as we're a podcast, you can catch us wherever it is you get your favorite podcast, and we hope we are one of your favorite podcast stations. All right, so now in reference to the show tonight, I think we have an interesting mix of individuals as per usual. My first guest is a practicing criminal attorney. He is criminal defense attorney. His name is Mike Working, and the reason I asked him on the show is because I wanted to try to understand about the verdict in the federal case of Tyree Nichols, which came down last Thursday. For many of us, all of the officers got charged with at least one offense. That of course, was obstruction, but there were a lot of other charges left on the table. And I wanted to hear from a criminal defense attorney to maybe kind of explain a little bit about that to us and the why and everything else. And then we find out late this afternoon that there was a bond release hearing for the three officers who were convicted last Thursday. Two of those three officers got a chance to go home this afternoon. So we'll talk about that and a couple of other things with him. A little bit later on, we're going to talk to Pastor Hosea Houston. Now, Pastor Houston is a man who truly understands how important it is to give back to our fellow man, our fellow person, and more importantly, how to become self-sufficient. He and his family own several acres of land in North Haven, and they have turned this into a farm, and they are teaching people how to become self-sufficient. You know, I mean, a lot of times, if you don't have to depend on other people, maybe you could save some money and even learn something in the process of that. So he's going to talk to us a little bit about his farm over in North Haven, why he decided it was important to share that with the neighbors and the community, and more importantly, about being self-sufficient. A little bit later on in the broadcast, second half hour, we're going to be talking with attorney Earle Schwarz, and he is the new executive director of Intuity homes. And basically, those are housing developments that are designed specifically for seniors and folks who are handicapped. It's very, very hard if you are a handicapped individual or facing some type of handicap in terms of trying to get a home that is retrofitted for your needs. And so Earle and his company are providing that to people, and he's going to talk with us about that a little bit later on. Now, normally I would do news and notes, but I forgot the news and notes. Not the news and notes, I'm sorry. The birthdays. I forgot the birthdays today. That's my bad. Let me see if I can't. Well, hang on. I think I may have saved my own skin today. So, without further ado, I say, as I'm waiting for it to come up, hit it, Brandon. We have birthdays, ladies and gentlemen. We have birthdays. First, let me jump down the list here. There's a few folks on this list today. I know. Happy birthday going out to Ken Mack. Happy birthday, my friend. Marlene Pryor Harrison, a former church member. It's her birthday today. Someone many of you may know. Conji Anthony is celebrating her birthday on this day, as is Nedra Neely. Willie Grayson celebrating her birthday, as is Gerard Walker, Juliet Sutters, Mark Billingsley celebrating her birthday as well. And last but not least, the Honorable Mayor of the City of Memphis, Paul Young, is celebrating his birthday today. So, happy birthday to each and every one of you. I hope it's been a day filled with love and laughter. And we hope to be with you next year on your... Oh, Lola's got one, but she just beat the bell. Go ahead, Lola. What you got?
Happy birthday to my good friend, Doo-Woo Blackface. Shout out to you, Atiba.
Did you say Doo-Woo Blackface? All right. Enough said. That's all. Happy birthday to each and every one of you out there. And we hope to be with you next year for your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brand. We're going to have a conversation about that name a little bit later on, of the origin of all of that. But anyway, let's take a look at some news and notes. Of course, as I mentioned a minute ago, the federal trial in the Tyree Nichols murder case is now completed. It ended last Thursday with a verdict of the three officers who were on trial. All of those officers were found guilty of at least one charge, and that was an obstruction charge. And because of that, they were immediately jailed and taken into custody. Now, they will receive the amount of time per this charge. They will get that sometime in January of 2025. But the state case will be held in January of 2025 as well. And those charges, which are the local charges, there will be a second-degree murder charge attached to each and every one of those. So we will wait and see how all of that shakes out. Two of the three individuals who are now convicted felons went for a bond hearing today in federal court. Two of them were actually released to confined, it was home confinement. Two of the three. One of those individuals who actually was charged with more than the one count, he will remain in custody until sentencing in January of 2025. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea why these freshly minted convicted felons were allowed to go home under the federal jurisdiction. But maybe our first guest, Mike Working, can explain that to me. Let me see here. Big news, of course, in Florida. Once again, there's a hurricane headed your way. Hurricane Milton went from a tropical storm yesterday to Category 5 today. Right now, packing 180 mile an hour winds, sustained winds, headed right for Tampa Bay, and in that area on the eastern side, the western side rather, of the Gulf. Folks in Tampa, dead right now dead in the middle zone, bullseye of all of this. Clearwater, these folks are just now starting to get the legs back under themselves from Hurricane Helene, which happened about 11 days ago. Now, within the next 24 to 48 hours, that area is going to be struck. And from what I hear, this one is going to be pretty bad stuff. So again, pray for the folks down there in Florida in that area. There is mandatory evacuation. They cannot stay there. They have to move on and move up and move out. Orlando is also in the line of fire with this on the backside as well. So again, a lot of folks, spring break here, fall break here in Memphis and Shelby County. A lot of folks, kids are out of school. A lot of folks are out of town this week. And I pray you're not heading down toward the Florida area. But again, we'll keep an eye on that and lift them up in prayer that it's not as bad as it is forecasted to be. One thing I did not mention earlier in terms of deaths, we heard this afternoon, we got information this afternoon that Sissy Houston, the mother of Whitney Houston, transitioned this afternoon at the age of 91. Don't know necessarily what the cause was, but again, we found out this afternoon that Sissy Houston died today at the age of 91. May her memory always be a blessing. I'm going to take my first break, and when we come back, we will get this party started. What do you say? On this beautiful, it's a beautiful day, and I forgot to mention that. It was a gorgeous day. 76, 77 today. Just fall is starting to settle in. It's very, very nice outside. For folks who the daylight savings time bothers you, it's about 7 o'clock now. It's about dark. When we leave here, it's pretty much dark at 7 o'clock. So days are absolutely getting shorter. Let's take the first break, shall we? And when we come back, we will continue on this Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has invested $94 million into our local arts community to teach, uplift, unite, and engage Memphians of all ages and zip codes.
The Memphis Brooks Museum of Art hosts Sounds of Memphis every Thursday evening, where art and melody converge. Each week, a new Memphis powerhouse presents a unique evening that showcases the city's unparalleled musical legacy. From the soulful blues and rock and roll that define generations to the contemporary sounds shaping today's scene, Sounds of Memphis offers an unmatched music experience. Sponsored by the Turley Foundation Incorporated and Amy and Ronnie Wright. Cocktails and hors d'oeuvres will be available for purchase. More information can be found at brooksmuseum.org.
Choices is celebrating 50 years of reproductive health at their 50th anniversary gala on October 26th at the Kent. Get ready for a groovy night with a 70s disco glam theme, taking us back to their founding days in 1974. The evening doesn't end there. The after party features DJ Bizzle Blue Bland, go-go dancers, and free drinks and food. Tickets are available for both the gala and the after party. More information and tickets can be found at choicesgala.org. That's choicesgala.org.
Monster Market returns. Memphis's original freaky pop-up shop will be open October 11th through the 16th at the Medicine Factory with a brand new collection of strange art, apparel, and home decor. One-of-a-kind oddities sourced exclusively from makers and artists and unique in-store events every day at Monster Market 2024 this October. More information at memphismonstermarket.com.
Memphis Listening Lab's 4th annual Record Swap and Zine Fest is back on October 26th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. In partnership with Crosstown Arts and WYXR, held on the 1st and 2nd floors of Crosstown Concourse, featuring records, CDs, cassettes, art, zines, live DJs, and more. More information and vendor inquiries accepted at info@memphislisteninglab.org.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip Washington with you. And, we all kind of went through the federal court case, the Tyree Nichols case last week. And it wrapped up last week, of course, with 3 officers being found guilty of a conspiracy charge. But I wanted to find out a little bit about all of this because I think a lot of folks maybe thought that this was sort of a slap on the wrist instead of a real punishment in the federal court. And I just wanted to hopefully bring on somebody that could give us a little bit of clarity. Now, he is a criminal defense attorney. His name is Mike Working. Now, Mike is actually not here in the city. He is in Fort Myers, Florida, helping people board up their houses for that massive hurricane I was just telling you about. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this interview okay. Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yes, no problem.
Well, listen, man.
Wish I was with you. But
Yeah.
It's pretty nice down here. Calm before the storm.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us tonight. So we just went through the federal trial in reference to the 3 officers involved in the murder of Tyree Nichols. At least that's what I call it anyway. And 3 of those officers were found guilty of obstruction charges. They were each charged with at least four different charges. And I guess I should ask you first, in looking at this from your landscape, what did you think about the verdict? And was it about what you thought, or should it have been a bit heavier, or what exactly?
I think most people were surprised at the verdict being so favorable to the officers and in favor of the defense. And I say that as a defense attorney. In federal court, the rate of conviction is astronomically high. It's really hard for people to defend a case in federal court. There's just so many resources. There's so much power in favor of the federal government against a single citizen. That's very rare to get a defense verdict. And there were some real strategic decisions that the lawyers had to make, whether they were going to go all the way for it, go for the home run, go for not guilty, or whether ask the jury to come back on what are called lesser included offenses. And if you were to consider, like, the way criminal cases work is most crimes are charged and there's like a ladder, like within each.
Mike, I think we lost your signal. Are you still there? He's not there? All right, Mike dropped out. As I said, he's in Florida. He is in Fort Myers. He's helping folks board up houses as they pertain. He's back. Is Mike back? Okay. As pertains to this big hurricane that is headed their way in the next 24 to 36 hours. He's helping.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we got you back. That's okay. That's all right. No problem.
Back.
Yeah,
I'm back if you can hear me. Sorry, Chip.
That's all right.
Next time I'm coming to Midtown. I'm already in town, so I'll be there next time.
All right.
But I was talking about the fact that charges are basically on a ladder. And probably what's most common for people to understand who watch the news and follow crime beat a lot is first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter. You know, it kind of comes down like that, and charges all have lesser included offenses within them. And so the attorneys decided to go for a lesser, and rather than the home run, we did nothing wrong. And that probably bought them a lot of credibility to the jury, because the jury did come back with a lesser offense. And, it's a real.
Hello? I think we lost Mike again. Again, the signal's a little funky because he is where he is. He's in Fort Myers, Florida. He's outside, and the weather is pretty messy. So we're trying to see if we can't get him back here. He was explaining to us about the federal.
I'm a mess, man.
That's all right. I got you. Look, I got you, man. That's all right. Listen, I'll take what I can get. So let me. Okay, I heard pretty much everything you said a minute ago. But okay, so a lot of folks, and again, if you took a survey around here, a lot of folks were a bit disappointed because they thought that there would have been stiffer penalties within this federal case. Now this afternoon, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but two of the three, they went to court for a bail hearing, which I was a bit surprised about as well. And two of the three of them were released today to home confinement. Did that surprise you at all? Does that surprise you at all?
That would surprise me, because in federal court, generally, almost nobody gets probation in federal court. And if you're going to jail, they take you right there at your trial. If you're going to prison, they take you right there at your trial, and you can stay in prison until your time is up. The judge has a lot of discretion and latitude about what the sentence will be. It could be 10 years, it could be 5 years, 6 years. It's up to the judge, whatever they want. Mm-hmm. But it's very rare that they would get probation. It's almost impossible. Very, very unlikely. And it's a double-edged sword, really, because their attorneys will come in and say that they're officers and they've done all this stuff to serve the community. But a crime like this is a real violation against the system itself, against justice. And a lot of judges really come down pretty harshly on officers who are on the wrong side of the law. Because we all want to have faith in the system, even though a lot of us, acknowledge reality that there's something wrong with the system. And there's nothing that puts an emphasis on that more than an officer who's been convicted of violating their duties in the line of.
Okay. I think we lose him again, Brian. Yeah, his signal is going in and out. Man, this is really, I'm fascinated by this. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Mike Working, who is a criminal defense attorney here, and we're talking about the Tyree Nichols federal case. And he basically said, and I asked him about the two of the three officers that were convicted last Thursday are released now on bail, $50,000 bail this afternoon, and one of the three is going to remain in custody until he is sentenced in January. And even Mike said this is an unusual thing in terms of in the federal case. You are, and so Mike, I was just sort of recapping to the audience of what you were saying, how this is a pretty unusual situation where individuals who were convicted of a federal charge are released a couple, 3 or 4 days later, and they don't have to show up again until their sentencing date sometime in January.
I'm not going to say it doesn't ever happen, but I cannot ever remember it happening personally. I work a lot more in state court than I do in federal court. Right. But, I share offices with a lot of people over the years who do all federal work, and I can't say that I ever remember that happening before. So, that's kind of what I say when I say it's a double-edged sword. You can kind of throw all the rules out the window when it's an officer, because at times
Wow. We keep going in and out here. We keep going and having challenges here. We'll try one more time here, see if we can't get him, and we may have to cut him loose because, like I said, he is outside, and the signal is not great where he is. Mike, are you there? Mike, are you there?
I am, but
okay.
I appreciate your patience with me.
Not a problem.
And I appreciate I'm coming in person next time, not zoning in from a hurricane, but the rule book kind of goes out the window. It can be harsher for a police officer, and it can be much more lenient. They get the benefit of the doubt in most cases. So, anyway, that's that's pretty unusual, really unusual.
So let me ask you one final question. Now, you say you deal a lot with state court. Now, the state trial is supposed to happen, I guess, sometime maybe after the first of the year with DA Mulroy. Any thought as to now these charges do include second-degree murder? Any thought as to what you think might happen in the state trial?
I think it's a much harder case to prosecute in state court. Number one, second-degree murder is a knowing and intentional killing of another human being, and I don't think.
What? Well, we lost him. We lost him again. I was asking him about the upcoming state trial that is going to be prosecuted by D.A. Mulroy. And he started to say that he thinks that that's going to be a much harder case to prove based on the definition of second-degree murder. Go ahead, Mike. I see you back. Go ahead. If you can hear me, go ahead.
It's second-degree murder is a knowing and intentional killing of another human. And I think a lot of people would be skeptical to think that the officers showed up at roll call that night thinking they were going to kill Tyree Nichols. This is something that got way out of hand in the dark streets of Memphis. And, it's much more likely to be a question of whether this is a voluntary manslaughter. And the defense attorneys can say that by running, Tyree Nichols sort of provoked the officer's actions, or whether this is probably a reckless homicide. A reckless homicide is they had such disregard for the harm they were causing him, and they were so reckless that it had caused a death. I think that's probably really likely. And those are way less punishment crimes. The reckless homicide is 2 to 4, and you can get probation, as opposed to murder, which is 25 years in prison with the chance of an early release. So I really think that the DA has their work cut out for them, the officers. And of course, it's going to cause problems and blowback maybe with the fact that they need police officers to have their back, the prosecutors' back, in all these cases. And there might be a lot of officers who are really not happy with the prosecutors and, may not be showing up for court when they're supposed to testify in other cases. That happens a lot in a lot of other cities. It hasn't really been the case so far in Memphis, but there's never been police officers charged with murder in the history of the city of Memphis. Oh, wow. So we're in uncharted territory here.
Oh, wow. Listen, man, thank you for coming on. And I know that the situation down there where you are is not the best, but you answered some great questions for us tonight. And I will bring you back. As this thing gets closer, because I want to get more information from you. I'm really appreciating what you're giving us tonight. But thank you, man. And listen, be safe down there. That this hurricane that's coming your way is going to be a biggie. So do what you got to do and get back here safely, okay?
Well, we're getting father-in-law out of town and getting out ahead before it gets too dangerous. So got to be a good son-in-law and help take care of the family. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate you. Mike Working, ladies and gentlemen, and spending some time with us, talking a little bit about the this federal case that just ended in Tyree Nichols, and we will keep a track on it. And we'll have Mike back when he's back in town and get him closer and get him to come down into the studio and spend some time with us. We appreciate his time. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to continue on this Monday trek we like to call Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away. More show to come.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Monster Market returns. Memphis's original freaky pop-up shop will be open October 11th through the 16th at the Medicine Factory with a brand new collection of strange art, apparel, and home decor. One-of-a-kind oddities sourced exclusively from makers and artists and unique in-store events every day at Monster Market 2024 this October. More information at memphismonstermarket.com.
Memphis Listening Lab's 4th annual Record Swap and Zine Fest is back on October 26th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. In partnership with Crosstown Arts and WYXR, held on the first and second floors of Crosstown Concourse, featuring records, CDs, cassettes, art, zines, live DJs, and more. More information and vendor inquiries accepted at info@memphislisteninglab.org.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip Washington with you. And, I neglected to say that there are a lot of people right now probably out of town and on vacation. School is out here, and it is officially fall break. So a lot of folks decided to take some time off. Nice weather, get out of Dodge, spend some time with the kids and the family and the whole 9 yards. But that's okay. If you're with us, that's all that matters. So, as I stated at the outset, this community has its more than its set of challenges, and of course, there's a lot of struggles, folks who struggle in various areas. But being a self-sufficient individual is one of the things that I think I like the best about our next guest, who has some family farmland around the North Haven area, and he's decided to take that and sort of really feed the land, if you will, or more importantly, make folks self-sufficient enough to be able to do that on their own and learn some things in the process. I'm really happy to have Pastor Hosea Houston with me this evening. And Pastor Houston, it is great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chip, for the invitation. It is great to be here.
Yeah, I saw a story about you last week, and I thought it was very unique. What you're doing, you have your family land, which you've had for a very long time, and at some particular point in time, you decided that giving back to the community and even giving power to individual by teaching folks to be self-sufficient and being able to farm land has been extraordinarily important to you. Why did you decide that was at some point something that you thought that you were compelled to do?
Well, I grew up on the farm. My father was from Philadelphia, Mississippi. My mama was from Water Valley, Mississippi, which is now called Oxford. And they both moved here. They met here in Memphis, but they both moved here in the late 40s. Mm-hmm. And when they both moved here, they both were sharecroppers over by the North Haven area before it was called the North Haven. Mm-hmm. It's all called Bengestown community. Well, my daddy had a second grade education. My mama had a first grade education. My daddy was a veteran. He fought in the Korean War, Purple Heart recipient. But we were raised on the farm. It was 13 of us, 8 boys, 5 girls.
Okay.
And daddy and mama brought us up on the land, which my daddy worked hard with a second grade education. After he fought in the war, he came back and got a job at the Army Defense Depot. Whereas he retired, he would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and go and plow for an hour, come back and take a shower, go to work all day, come back, he'll be in the field again. And he taught us how to work with our hands, how to make an honest living. We didn't have to leave the farm for anything. We had cows, that was our milk. We had pigs, that was our meat. We had chickens, that was our eggs, and also our meat. And Daddy and Mama taught us how to just grow from the ground. And he taught us how to be self-sufficient. He taught us how to make an honest living. And when I got older, I ended up in the streets, Chip.
Yeah.
And doing things that I thought I was big and bad enough to get away with. And a lot of things I did get away with, but they said a lot of times, old people, you say you getting by, but you ain't getting away. And they end up in the streets. But I knew my home training, and I knew my bringing up. And I ended up getting shot in 1990, 12:30 at night. As I laid down on that ground, I remember what Mom and Dad had told me. He said, son, if you ever need the Lord, you don't know which way to turn, call on the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I called on him. I said, Lord, I never preach a word, but I know you calling me to preach. If you give me a chance, I'm gonna help some people. And years went by, and Mama passed away in 1996, and Dad had passed away in 2006 and left us Earle property. And I've always reached out into the community, planning behind our church.
Yeah.
And I was asking the Lord one day, I was riding, I was at work, I said, Lord, what can I do with the property and the land that Dad and Mama left us to give you the glory? Well, about 8 months later, the Lord said, start an agritourism farm. And I started this farm. And what I do, I get about 50 kids a week with the parents. We'll cultivate together. We'll plant together. We'll cultivate together. We'll take in the harvest together. Whereas when we do that, what we are doing, we're strengthening families. And by strengthening families, we're strengthening communities. Now, when you look in this North Haven community, we have turned this community all the way back around. And we teach them how to farm. We teach them how to plant.
Yeah.
I got goats. I teach them animal husbandry with the goats. I teach them with chicken, eggs, and poultry, how to take care of the chickens. I teach them how to plant, where they can take 3 tomato plants, 3 cucumber plants, 3 corn stalks, and they can eat some off of that. Whereas if you continue just give them food, where they're going to continue to come back to you. But if you teach them how to be self-sufficient, where they can go and plant themselves and also teach their kids and families how to plant.
I was going to ask you, it sounds obviously you're teaching life skills and valuable lessons. I'm wondering what the response is from the parents and these youngsters in watching them, actually learn something that can very much help them should they need that help in the future. What is the response of the parents and the young folks that you work with?
Well, you'd be surprised the response. I've never had a child. Now, I've had a child that didn't want to come around there. But once I influenced them to come around, I've never had a child say, take me home. It's like when they get around to the farm, it's like, it's peaceful.
Yeah.
It's quiet. No crime, no shooting, no wheel scotching, no cursing, being cursed out, no dope smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And they just let nature talk to them, and they love it. They love it. They're looking forward to come back every week.
Well, that is now that's an inspirational story in an area, of course, that has had its share of challenges and some issues in the past. That you're doing something in reference to this. You are a pastor, and I'm sorry. Give me the name of your church, please, once again.
Yes, my church is Pleasant Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, 4813 Benderstown Road.
How long have you been the pastor there?
I've been pastoring here 12 years now.
You have obviously made an impact. You've obviously made a difference in terms of all of this. We don't see a lot of this, and I would imagine because you grew up, at your home, you grew up on a farm. Your mom and daddy taught you the value of hard work and self-sufficiency. Would you like to see something like what you're doing spread out on a more widespread basis, in our county? I think that there are so many people out here who could use what you do in your neighborhood, in your community, in your church as an example of being positive. What do you think about that? Would you like to see something like this expanded, beyond the area that you work in now?
Actually, that is an awesome idea and vision. I currently go around to 6 community schools as well, Chip. And what I do, I teach over 500 kids.
Oh my! Okay, there you go. Yeah.
In these schools, in these raised bed gardens. And so what I do, I go there. Once they let me come to these schools, I go there. We get a big group of kids, and I teach them how to take that raised bed garden that they don't know how to grow fresh vegetables in. I teach them how to put that soil in there. I teach them how to plant that seed. I teach them how to cultivate it. But before we plant the seed in those kids, what we do, we start from scratch. And it amazes them to see a seed. They don't know where an apple come from. They don't know where banana come from. Mm-hmm. They don't know where tomato come from.
Right.
And so you can take that seed, and I put it in my hand, and I tell them, and they all be gathered around. I said, this little bit of seed, I say, if you sow, it'll grow. Yeah. And I tie it into life.
Yeah.
I said, if you don't sow, you'll never know. And I said, that's how it is in life. Whatsoever man soweth, that's what you're gonna reap. So if you're sowing bad seeds, look to get bad results. And that's what I teach them. So I go around to these different schools, and these kids, once we put it in the ground, and they'll see it from the start and result. And we'll go back and we'll cultivate it, and they'll watch it once it has popped up out the ground, and they'll be, wow, that's how it works. And then it comes from that plant, and then once they see the fruit coming off of it, and then they cultivating it. They putting water to it. They making it grow. Then when they see that fruit, that's a self-accomplishment. They say, well, we grew this.
Yep.
We done that.
Sense of pride. It's a sense of pride. Absolutely that. Well, listen, I'm so glad that, I had a chance to get you on the show and talk to you, because I believe that when you're doing positive things will come back to you. You are helping folks grow in that particular area, pardon the pun. You're doing a wonderful job at it. I'm glad that, we could spend some time with you tonight and bring people more to the attention of what you're trying to do. So listen, man, congratulations on all of this. And more importantly, caring as much as you do about the community and about the people in it. So we're pulling for you. Really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much, Chip. God bless you.
God bless you as well. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now this is the type of stuff we like to talk about here, because even though there's the darker side of the news, there's always a positive side of the news as well. And God bless Pastor Hosea Houston for all of the work he does over in that North Haven community. We're going to take one final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk housing. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. If you want to know more, stick around. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? Or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page, and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR is made possible by the 18th Annual River Arts Fest, taking place Saturday, October 19th and Sunday, October 20th on Riverside Drive in downtown Memphis. 2 full days of fine arts and music for the whole family. More details at riverartsmemphis.org.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday night. Chip with you. And, housing, just in general, is something of a goal for many people. Many people would love to be able to own a home and do everything that goes along with that. But there is a segment of the population that maybe we don't think about, in reference to that good quality housing. So I'm happy to have with me tonight Earle Schwarz. He is the executive director of Intunity. Better homes mean better lives, and he's actually joining me in the studio. Earle, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming.
Chip, thanks a lot. I appreciate your having me, and I appreciate your interest and support.
I think that for many people, and I think we take a lot of things for granted sometimes, but we don't realize that different people have different challenges, and those different challenges, can greatly affect, how they live and how they function in today's society. Your organization deals with folks in particular from the housing perspective who are intellectually challenged, right? And
correct.
And developmentally challenged as well?
Intellectually and or developmentally disabled.
Okay. So and in terms of that, you provide, your organization rather provides housing for these individuals, right? It has to be, and I would imagine being able to do that, there has to be you have to do some retrofitting. Don't you have to try to fit out to try to maybe accomplish what they won't be able to accomplish?
A great question. So a lot of our housing, we own 37 houses.
Okay.
23 in Shelby County and 14 in Madison County.
Okay.
And many of those homes, and we rent those homes to persons, as you mentioned, with intellectual and or developmental disabilities at substantially below market rates.
Okay.
And we work with residential providers who provide the staff and the services in those homes. But to your question specifically, many of the folks who have disabilities, intellectual or developmental disabilities, also have physical disabilities. Mm-hmm. And in those cases, we will modify our houses to meet the specific needs of each individual who lives there. And in many cases, it's things like wide halls, it's things like roll-in showers, it's things like wide doorways, in order to make the house completely accessible and give our folks who live there a full opportunity to live independent and enriched lives in those houses.
You mentioned the number of houses that you have. I would imagine, and I don't know the statistics, but I would imagine there's a great need for homes that are retrofitted for the individuals that you deal with. Am I correct in that?
The need is very deep. That's correct. Mm-hmm. And with 37 houses, we can't fully meet the need, of course.
Right.
Which is why we're in an expansion mode. The board has developed a strategic plan which hopefully has us moving from 37 houses to 50 houses over the next 4 or 5 years, many of which we hope to build on our own, that have been designed specifically for what's called a universal design, but designed specifically for persons who have mobility challenges, who even if they don't have them when they first move in, we hope they'll age in place and will eventually need all of the the accommodations that we'll provide. And so the house was designed specifically for our population. The local architectural firm with whom your listeners will be familiar, LRK, helped us design the home. And then it's gone through a couple of modifications in order to try to help us sort of control building costs. And we're going to be building our first home in connection with United Housing on a lot in the Heights community.
Okay.
And that house, the design is there. The house has gone out to bid, and hopefully we'll be coming out of the ground with that house soon. The individuals who are going to live there have already been identified, and they are really excited about having what they consider to be their own house.
You know, in thinking about this, listening to you talk, it brings to mind just a question about how all this came about. I mean, how did the thought come that, you know what, there are people, you know, who want to live in a house, a nice home or whatever, who may have certain challenges, but how did the idea of all of this start, if you can share?
Thanks for inviting me to talk about the history of Intunity, because it's an interesting one, I think. So back in the early 90s, I was a lawyer, still am a lawyer, and I was a lawyer in a case against the state of Tennessee concerning the living conditions at what was then the Arlington Developmental Center, which was its large congregate care facility in West Tennessee.
Okay.
Over about 20 years, the state of Tennessee came to the realization that the best practices were to not house folks in large congregate care facilities, but to give them the opportunity to live in the community in quote normal houses, air quote normal houses. All right. So as that litigation was coming to a close, the parties agreed to create the entity that has now become Intunity. We were very fortunate to have been funded from inception, and that's allowed us to acquire some of the houses that we've acquired. We began operationally. We began in 2012.
Okay.
And have continued obviously until today, and hopefully forever.
Was it? I mean, and I know this was a result of a lawsuit, but I mean, was it? I mean, when you came up with this idea, when you all started to talk a little bit about all of this, and realized that there was indeed a need, was it really hard to convince others that you have to work with and deal with, and this thing we like to call the bureaucracy, to understand that these folks have needs too? I mean, was it a difficult sell, so to speak?
So we work, the state of Tennessee is obviously has been involved because they fund the delivery of services in the house. The state of Tennessee, once the state of Tennessee accepted the notion that folks should be leaving Arlington and living in the community, they were very easy to work with. The then commissioner of the department, Debbie Payne, who began her career as a provider, of services to this population, is now on our board.
Okay.
But the state of Tennessee, with Debbie Payne as the commissioner, was very interested in accomplishing the movement of folks into the community once they got to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. You're here in Shelby County, and you also mentioned some homes in Madison County. And I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but how great is a need for what you all do? Throughout the state of Tennessee, I would have just imagined that this is just a very, very small fraction of the number of individuals who desire to be homeowners. So the need, I would imagine, is pretty great.
The need is huge. I mean, it's so huge it's difficult to quantify precisely, but it's in the several thousands just in West Tennessee alone.
Okay.
And then we hope to have the opportunity at some point to move into Middle Tennessee and perhaps even into East Tennessee, because the need is just as great in across the state, nationally, of course.
Sure.
But housing and the high cost of rental housing is the largest barrier to entry for marginalized folks like our tenants to live comfortably, and financially affordable housing in the community.
Yeah, I can imagine that. So if someone wants to find out more about the possibility of getting a better home and a better life in the process, how do they go about doing that through you folks?
Well, they can certainly reach out to me at any point, at any time. Schwarz at intunityhomes.org. The website is intunityhomes.org. And my cell phone is 901-216-4790. People are welcome to call me about it. All of our tenants, however, come through what are known as providers of residential services, agencies that some your listeners were probably familiar with, like SERVS, for example.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
all of our tenants come to us. All of our tenants are also clients of those providers of services. So if you're in services with a residential provider like a SERVS or in-dev community development, that's the route to us.
Okay. Well, listen, Earle, this is very interesting as far as I'm concerned. That you're doing the good work out here in the community, and you're providing an opportunity for people who want to live better, and it should have every right to do so. So I thank you for coming on the show. It's always good to know that Earle, he actually we're in Crosstown, many of you probably know, and he lives here, so it was an easy jump for him to get down here to see us. So we had him in studio this evening, so it's good to have him.
It was easy, but I would have come miles for the opportunity to talk about Infinity.
Absolutely that. Earle, thank you so much, man, for everything you do, and thank you for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks a lot.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, next week we are going to be here, but it is Pledge Week here at WYXR. So we won't have any quote-unquote guests, but we will extol what we need from you, which is, as Lola likes to always say, we like the money that jingles, but we prefer the money that folds. So we're gonna be hammering you with that all next week. We just celebrated our 4th anniversary as a radio station here about a few days ago, and it's been a great experience. So join us next Monday. We're going to talk to some folks. Lola will be one of my guests, and and another one of the female DJs in this city. By the way, there are quite a few doing some really big things in this city. She's going to join us as well. We'll even get Brent on the mic next week as well. We'll talk to him about some things as well. So listen, as he plays this out, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking some time to visit with us this evening. Really appreciate it. Thank all my guests for turning up tonight and giving us some vital information. So again, join us again next week, same time, same station. And we'll try to do it all over again just a little bit better. It's Pledge Week. It starts Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. So we couldn't do what we do here without your help out there. So we'll talk more about that during Pledge Week next week. In the meantime, for DJ Lola, for Bren, for yours truly, have a wonderful week. Please be careful. Please be safe out there. If you enjoy what we do, please go out and tell somebody. In the meantime and between time, we are out.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.